Today's guest is absolutely massive. He started a company with Blackstone and took it public. He's done over 2,000 real estate deals and has lent over $10 billion. None other, the man, the myth, the legend, Tim Heritage. Welcome, brother.
Thanks, bud.
So let's dive in. Start a little bit. Talk to us a little bit about your background. How did you get to freaking 2,000 deals and 10 billion funding and taking a company public?
In 2002, which there's probably a lot of people watching this that were like in high school or maybe not even born, I started working with a hard money lender in Dallas, and I was a wholesaler.
Okay.
And he just pulled me aside one day and he said, I want you to come work for me. We'll partner up on some stuff, but I want to teach you the money side. And he's still a great friend and mentor of mine. And he goes, these little wholesales you're doing, if you would just offer financing, you'll double your profit. I'm like, whoa, what? And so imagine this, in 2002, we were selling houses. We would, so instead of a $20,000 assignment and marketing a price, I would put the deal out and I'd say $10,000 down, $1,800 a month, $40,000 rehab budget, and that's the way I'd market the deals. And they would just fly off the shelf because I was wrapping his hard money around the offer. And
giving them the deal and the financing.
Yeah, and it was just insane. And I just fell in love with money. And I grew up where money was a reward for time.
Yeah.
Right? It was the result. And through there's a great book called Richest Man in Babylon by George Clausen. Okay. Everyone should read it. Super easy read.
We'll drop that in the comments. Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah, it just talks about making money with money.
Yeah.
And once you start looking at money as a tool instead of a result, the game changes. Just completely changes. And, so now, I'll get ahead of myself, but I'm closing on a refi right now with Turnus, my company, where I'm pulling about 50 grand out of a house, and I'm taking my interest rate from 4.5% to 6.5%. And it sounds stupid on the surface, but I'll take that 50 grand, I'll put it into hard money notes and start making 12% interest on that 50 grand. So the rent house still cash flows a couple $100 a month, but now I'll be making $500 a month on the 50 grand.
Yes.
And, look, the tenant pays that back, and it was tax-free money I got.
Yeah.
Because it's a refi. So I just love playing the money game, and, you got to keep your capital moving at all times. All times. Money has to move.
Yeah. Okay. So you learned you were starting off as a wholesaler. You meet up with this lending guy. He teaches you how to package up the deal with the financing.
Right.
Brilliant. That's what New Western does too. A lot of people don't know that New Western also has Sherman Bridge, I think.
Sherman Bridge.
Landing. So they give you the deal and they give you the financing, and they're double dipping.
Well, Kurt and Stewart are timeshare guys, so they learned that shit from the Ritz, right?
Right. Really. That's
wrap the financing in the price.
Okay. Brilliant. And then you do this for a little bit, and then what happens next?
Yeah, I started a big seminar company and sold that to Think Realty because I just like to be around people.
Yeah.
I was a Homevestors franchise for a while, the Ugly House company.
Yeah.
I actually had like 40 offices nationwide.
Wow. 40.
Just crazy stuff, man. Made it through the Great Recession, lost a ton of money in 08 and 09, just me and my wife. I was 28, just high, nothing I'd ever done failed. And then,
you have the biggest
everything
recession
failed
in global history.
Yeah, we were just losing millions of dollars. And, you go from, you're 28 and you're living on this estate property, 6,000 square foot, $1 million house. And next thing you know, you're painting houses, just praying that you can scrape together. Literally, I spent all of 09. I would evict someone out of a house. I'd go rehab it myself, do the work.
Do the work.
And then I'd owner finance the house, and you'd get the $10,000 down payment. You run to the bank and pay the mortgages that you were almost late on. That was my life for a year. So that was fun. Through the seminar circuit, I met Blackstone. We started B2R Finance, merged that with Finance of America Commercial.
And that was a lending business?
Yeah.
Or? Okay.
Yeah, so there was really all these DSCR loans that people get today did not exist 10 years ago. My sales team at B2R, we originated the first DSCR loan for rental properties in America.
Really?
About 10 years ago, yeah.
Wow.
That we even named the products, and they're still in the securitization documents. The product names are still the same, which is kind of cool to see.
I mean, for people that don't know what DSCR is, can you explain what is that?
So, really before we started B2R, the only way an investor could get a mortgage was either they had to have a really good W-2 job and go to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac and get a loan in their personal name on their personal credit based off their personal debt to income ratio, or they had to go find a community bank and get the bank to loan them money on like a 10 or 15 year mortgage for the rent house. And it was really hard as an investor to find money. And when you hit a period like the Great Recession, I mean, the money dried up immediately. The local banks shut it off. And
there's no money.
Yeah, and you just stopped. Your whole livelihood stopped. And so the DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio, is really, it was so funny. I didn't even know what it meant. I'd already bought 1,000 houses. I'm up there with Blackstone. And they're like, a DSCR loan. And I'm like, no, I don't. And then they said it again. I said, look, man, you can say it in all the tones you want. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He's like, well, it's like a hotel. When you finance a hotel, it's based on the income of the asset, not the income of the borrower. I was like, oh, okay. That makes sense. It's a cash flow based loan. And so it was just a bunch of residential guys and a bunch of commercial guys, and we just kind of combined the products, and that's where the loan came from.
In private equity, this is how the private equity guys do it all day long. They'll come in, they'll say, I want to buy your business. Your business cash flow is $10 million a year. They'll go leverage that up 5-10x on the bank using your income to go qualify for a loan on your business that your business takes out. So they basically use your cash flows to borrow against your business with your business on the hook for it, pay you that money, and then use the cash flows from the business to then pay off that loan. And then they inject a bunch of capital and just scale it up really quickly. But that's basically the entire private equity game, is using a business's cash flow to go qualify for a loan that they then use to acquire that business. So if you understand that and you're a business owner and you have a private equity company trying to buy you, what you should be asking yourself is, why don't I just do that myself?
Exactly. Unless you just want to exit.
Unless you just want to exit.
Exits are fun, man. There was a couple years all I did was sit around, drink beer, and eat barbecue. it was boring, but it was nice.
Yeah. Okay, so you bring DSCR to the rental market.
Yep, did a first securitization where, it was $250 million was our first transaction, where we took, it was like 100 investors that all had like 10 houses or more back then. They were all portfolio loans at first. And you package all the loans up and you go sell it on Wall Street, and then that's how you make your money. You end up making 8 to 10 points.
On a securitization.
Yeah.
That's big money.
And then if I get too nerdy, just shut me off, right? But you can carry back.
We have advanced listeners.
You can carry back what's called the B pieces and C tranches on these securitizations. That basically it's like a second lien, if you will, and you get almost no money for them, but they make 18 or 20% as long as the loans don't go bad. So when we did that first securitization, we kept all the B pieces. We sold the A pieces to life insurance companies and all that, and it was just, it was a money printing machine.
Wow.
But you talk about throwing money at I'll never forget, it was 10 years ago in April of 2014. I go to the first board meeting with Blackstone, and I'm fish out of water, man. I'm a house flipper, right? Yeah. And I'm Park Avenue, 50th floor, mahogany ceilings. I mean, it was just wild.
Kings of Wall Street.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We're in this board meeting, and I was in charge of all sales, marketing, and business development. And the guy from Blackstone looks at me and says, so what's our marketing budget? I was like, man, I don't know. I'm thinking it's going to be around $1 million. He goes, all right, that'll do it for this quarter. Come back next quarter with more of a plan. And I was just like, huh? Because I was talking about for the year, not the next 3 months. And I just went and got a Google pay-per-click. This is how wild, wild west this industry was back then. I guess I got on Google AdWords and I just put the Amex in. I was like, I guess 15,000 a day will get us there. And we were just bidding for keywords that nobody had ever bid for before, like loans for landlords. It It was the wild, wild west.
Wow. So you blew that up really quick.
Yeah.
And that company went public?
Yep. We merged it with Finance of America and went public via SPAC in April of 2021.
Wow. What was the market cap when you guys took that public?
I don't even know. I forgot. It went out at $10 a share and rode all the way up to almost 13 and started to come down. I got out around 11.
Yeah.
It dropped below $1.
Really?
Yeah. They've already had to
What
reverse
do you think
split.
went wrong with that? That was after exit. Were you already out at that point?
Yeah.
So you IPO'd it, did a SPAC.
Blackstone never misses on their timing, man. Like the global financial markets just, think about it. If we exited in 21, what happened in 22? They started raising rates.
Yeah.
I mean, mortgage companies got crushed in 22.
That was in 21 that you exited.
Yeah.
This is really recent.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, so I think it was a little bit of that, but also they had a residential component side. And I want to talk about this because, the cool thing about being a hard money lender or a private lender in the real estate investment space is it's a business purpose loan. So you're loaning to an LLC, even though it's a residential home, typically it's considered a commercial mortgage. Mm-hmm. So the licensing is easier.
Yeah.
It's a business purpose loan, so it's not a consumer loan.
You don't have all this fair housing,
right?
Whatever rules and regulations.
Well, in the licensing, a state like Arizona, you have to have a full-time individual that lives in this state to get licensed here. California will take 2 or 3 years. Nevada, you actually have to have someone in an office, in a brick and mortar office. So there's a lot of licensing to navigate even still. Even though
it's only strictly commercial.
Yeah, and the funny thing is there's a lot of licensing, but it's less than 10% of what a residential owner-occupied lender has to go through.
Wow.
States like Texas, you don't need anything.
Yeah.
Just a bank account.
All right, so you got this exit 2021 with Blackstone, made a bunch of cash on it. Fast forward a couple of years, you chill, have some beers, hang out for a bit. You're back in the game right now. I saw you just won an award with Kent Clothier in Boardroom.
I win awards there all the time, and I won yesterday. I won at Family Mastermind.
Yeah?
Yeah, the Game Changer Award.
Game Changer Award. So you're back in the game. You're making big moves. Tell us about what you're working on right now.
Well, I'm going to start with why, because that's what I was reading 2 years ago that just changed the way that I started looking at the business. 10 years ago, I helped give Main Street to Wall Street. Wall Street wanted to finance people like me, like the Investorlift customers, and I helped them understand the market and help bring the market to them. You fast forward 10 years, and now the product sucks. And now all the hard money lenders all sell the Wall Street product, and it's hard to get. It takes 3 weeks. It's slow. It's clunky.
Appraisals and
credit reports. And it's just... I was listening to Start With Why, and I just decided that I would take the industry back, and this is kind of my swan song. I'm 46. I'd like to be done by the time I'm 50. I've really done a lot to change this industry. This industry's changed the financial future of my family for sure. And so I created Turnus on the way back from Salt Lake City. I bought the URL. It was some guy's last name. It'd be like if you owned Winsley.com. And I spend like 15 grand on the URL. And my wife gets the American Express text. She's like, what are you buying at GoDaddy for $15,000? I'm like, that's that new idea I had. She goes, what? So the idea is it's Latin for threefold. And I really just started exploring, why do people get into this business? Right? They want to make money. There's 3 really common reasons that I boiled it down to. Everyone that gets in this business, they just want to make money, they want passive income or cash flow, and they want long-term wealth or legacy. That's what attracts people to this business. And I just, I said, okay, they can make money by doing loans with us. And this is 2 years ago. They can get passive income or cash flow by buying rental properties, but we would also like to offer shares. And maybe one day we're like a REIT, or we pay dividends, or we offer, a way to cash flow through the company. And then the last, obviously, is if you're a shareholder, my intention would be to grow the company, make it worth more tomorrow than it is today.
Yeah.
Investing is risky, so there's no guarantees in that, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, what a cool thing if we could decommoditize part of the industry that's involved in almost every transaction and make it about the customer. So fast forward, last year was about formation. So we went from 0 people, 0 loans on January 4th when I filed the company, to we ended up funding 111 something loans by the end of the year. And then in the last 60 days, we've already done 60 more loans. So we're on pace to do 600-700 loans this year.
That's incredible growth rate.
We're at 33 people now, and I've got a machine learning Salesforce development team in India. I've got a VP of technology in California, a bunch of people in Charlotte. The mortgage market was hurting, so there was a lot of highly talented, qualified people that were available to hire in Charlotte. But then also, man, they just love that. In the mortgage market right now, it's kind of like, well, you're lucky to have a job. And they come and talk to me, and I'm like, let's build something special, right? Like, I mean, and so it's just been a blast. And then last month, we actually launched our crowdfunding raise. So we're actually selling shares in Turnus to the investors, not to Wall Street. I could go raise $5 million on Wall Street in a minute. I don't want Wall Street's money. I want this company to be investor-owned, investor-controlled, and provide the products and services, the financial products and services that our customers want and need.
I love it. What I love about this is, I'll tell you a story. One of my sales guys, actually just last week, he's been making some big commission checks, crushing on sales. He's like, yeah, I'm sitting on this cash. I'm thinking about getting into hard money lending. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Bro, you are going to get ripped up and chewed up so fast. He's like, but it's like passive income. And it's like really high interest rates. And like, I'm like, that is a horrible idea. Now, I have my thoughts on why that's a horrible idea. But there's so many times I've had that exact same conversation with people where like they're wholesaling, they're flipping, they're like, oh, I'm sitting on $200,000 cash. I think I'm just going to start doing some hard money lending. What's your thought on like why that is so dangerous for someone that is just getting in the game? I'll maybe share my take on it.
So I think hard money lending is a great way for private investors to make money.
Yeah.
But as we sit here today, 10 days ago, we had $638,000 go missing.
Wow.
Wire fraud, fake title company, fake borrower, fake everything, AI voice prompts. I mean, the FBI is like, this is one of the most sophisticated wire fraud attempts we've seen to date. Good news, I got the money back. But I got the money back, because I've got a great team.
Yeah.
And I've got really deep relationships with my bank.
Yeah.
And we caught it within 48 hours. So we were able to recall the wire. And it was a US-based bank. So we were able to get the money back. Funny story, we're doing an investigation on Monday morning. And I've got the closer and my general counsel on this little video call, and I get a text from my banker. He says, we got it back. I don't believe him. I log in a bank account. There it is. It's in the bank.
Wow.
I text him.
How good did that feel?
Oh, my God.
680 racks.
I texted him. I said, do I get to keep it? Because like, I didn't know how this worked. And we use a company called Funding Shield that like their entire purpose in life is to insure wire fraud. We would have had an insurance claim and would have got the money back.
And it may take like a year.
It's not like Amex where they just put it back on your card.
Yeah.
It's more like Allstate where you're going to go through a lot to get your money back. So, that's, and I don't like to scare people, but that's a real thing that is a challenge. The other is foreclosures. We write really good loans. We got through the first 14 months with no foreclosures.
Yeah.
And then we had 5 posted this month. It happens. And then we had 2 of them get put under bankruptcy. So, again, not trying to scare people, but there are real challenges to being the lender that if you're not properly structured, educated, and have the right protocols in place, a great return can disappear very quickly.
Yeah. The way that I look at it is lending is kind of the top of the food chain. You start off wholesaling where you're just, all you got to learn is how to underwrite and do basic sales. Like, what is this property worth? Like figure that out. Then eventually you can move up, you can start flipping or doing rentals and like learning that whole piece, the construction side. And then the final piece is the lending, because you need to understand all the other pieces. Otherwise you're just gonna get abused. I remember like I had buddies that were doing lending, and they would be like, they'd give a draw and then they would come back to the job site a few weeks later and nothing's done. And it's like, what'd you do with the money? Oh, well, I had some credit card debt. I had to pay down.
Oh yeah.
I paid down the credit card, and then I was going to use my credit card, but then my wife went shopping and she saw $20,000 in her account, and she booked us on a Disney trip. Like, like that shit happens all the time.
Oh, absolutely.
All the time. So what I love about what you're doing here is you're giving people the ability to get the benefit of tapping into the lending game without having to do all the years and years of work figuring out all the different ways that you're going to get completely taken to the cleaners.
Well, your risk is spread out, right? Your risk is spread out throughout the entire company. I mean, our entire loan portfolio. When you only got one loan against one house, that's a lot of risk, right? And if you don't know, like, people will literally get insurance on a house and you make them pay it 6 months in advance. And if they need money, they'll go cancel the insurance and get a refund. And if you're not monitoring the mail and you didn't make sure your mortgagee clause was right, and there's a fire at that house, 70% doesn't matter if it's just a piece of dirt.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of intricacies. It's a great way to make money. You can broker. A lot of people are brokering now.
Yeah.
There's companies like RCN Capital that I still sit on the board with that, have great broker programs. I'd say start there. If you get really good at assets and you get really good at real estate and wholesaling and flipping and assets, and you have the money, maybe broker some loans, get involved in the process, understand.
Explain that, brokering loans. If I wanted to start a business lending and brokering loans, you're just a matchmaker?
Yeah. So you got a buddy that wants a loan on a fix and flip.
Yeah.
You sign up with a company like RCN, almost even Kiavi, all the big guys have broker programs, and you collect an application and you kind of connect the two. You're involved in the deal structuring, and you charge a point or 2 points, whatever you can get your customer to pay, and you don't have to fund the loan. The big company funds it. The big company underwrites it. They take on all the risk. You just get paid really for the introduction.
Basically a white label lender.
Yeah. Well, then you can go into what's called a correspondent lender.
Yeah.
And once you're a correspondent lender, then you can white label it, and it looks like Robert's House of Loans is doing the loan, even though it's someone else's capital. And then the next progression is what we do, where we're a balance sheet lender. Like, it's our cash.
Your cash.
And for investors by investors is a little overused, but that's why we call ourselves the investors lender. My partner Tom owns almost 1,000 multifamily properties or units. My partner Bill owns dozens and dozens and dozens of commercial properties throughout the Midwest. I have my stuff and commercial, multifamily, single family still. To date, it's just been our money. When we fund a loan, that $100,000 is Tim, Bill, and Tom.
So when $680,000 goes missing, it hurts.
It does. Now, the nice thing is when it's our money, we get to make the decision.
Yeah.
Right. So, like right now, the credit guidelines, the program is Tim Harridge's decision, and it's based off of all the conversations I get into with what customers want. And the more money I raise from our community, the more I can offer customer-centric products, right? Like, I don't pull credit. And people are like,
wow.
How do you not pull credit? I'm like, look, number one, the borrower is a company.
Yeah.
And number two, it's an asset-based loan.
Yeah.
As long as they have enough cash in the bank to pay the payments, the next step, the credit is the asset, but then, the credit is the cash, but then we don't even do an appraisal. So why do I need to do an appraisal? I've bought thousands of houses looking at pictures. I mean, how many billions a year do you sell on your platform?
1.8 billion this month.
Yeah, and nobody goes and runs an appraisal
before they buy something.
Right.
This was the biggest problem because so we piloted lending on Investorlift where we just added a button where you could apply for a loan. And so as a wholesaler, I just finished a Dispo Live where actually looks like we might have 2 properties sold, $100,000 assignment on one, $75,000 on the other, which will be really cool. 175,000 assignments in 1 hour.
Do you take a commission on that?
No, I just do it to help the community. We did a $150,000 assignment 2 weeks ago on Dispo Live. Guys, if you haven't been on Dispo Live, dispoday.com, register, jump on, I'll sell your deals for you. But when I'm talking to buyers, once I realize it's like an actual operator, one of the first questions I always ask is, are you buying with cash or hard money? And if they say that they're buying with hard money, I, in my mind, discount them about 30%.
Yep.
I'm like, there's probably about a 30% chance that if I go with you, it's going to fall out. Because you're not going to get the loan. They're not going to have the credit, or they won't be able to do it in time. Or if they do get it, it's going to add a lot of hassle because now I have to schedule an appraisal and I got to coordinate all of that. And like, it's just a lot of headache. So if I got 2 buyers on a deal, one's cash and one's hard money, even if the cash is like $5,000-$10,000 lower, a lot of times I'll just go with that one because I know it's pretty much a sure thing because of the freaking, everyone's securitizing, they're selling it to Wall Street. Wall Street wants that appraisal. They want the credit report. They want all this shit. And it just jacks up a lot of deals. Now, we met last year and you said, hey, I lend my own money. I don't need appraisals. And I was like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. Oh, and I do billions of dollars loans. Jackpot. Jackpot. So by the way, now Turnus is official exclusive lending partner on Investorlift. So if you apply for a loan on Investorlift, it goes to Tim's team. No credit check. No appraisals. If the deal's a deal, they're going to get funded.
Well, I had never done a loan in Alabama or Mississippi, one or the other. They're next to each other. And one of the Investorlift customers called, and they had been buying in Mississippi, and they had a track record there, and they were looking at one right across state line, kind of same city, but the other half of the city was in Alabama. And I was just like, I just asked my team, I said, look, does the guy have experience in that type of asset? Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah. I mean, he does this all the time it's just, 10 minutes away. And it was classified as rural because it was in a different county, even though it's the same city. Yeah. And we just make common sense decisions. They bring it to me. I'm like, there's no reason not to do that deal. Yeah. Let's just fund it.
Versus a Wall Street backed lender is going to be like, no, sorry.
The rule is the rule.
The rule is the rule. Can't do it. So common sense lending for investors by investors. I freaking love it. Okay, so you've been lending your own capital so far. Now you're doing this crowdfunding move. Explain that. What's the strategy there? Tell us more about that.
All investing involves risk. Please read the disclaimer at invest.turnus.com. There. I did that. So we started out as Turnus Lending LLC. Yeah. But we've always had Turnus Incorporated sitting on the shelf. After we finished our first year, we went ahead and merged everything into Turnus Incorporated and issued all the shares. And so we are now selling 5 million shares to customers in Turnus Incorporated. So it's not a debt fund. It's not an alternative investment where you're not part of the mothership. I own Class A shares and you own Class B shares. It's real ownership in the company.
You're issuing, it's not I'm raising a fund. It's I'm buying part of the company.
Right. And so we're selling 10% of the company. And we're raising $5 million. In my perfect world, the minimum investment's like $1,000.
Wow.
In my perfect world, it would be, I'd end up with 5,000 investors, but because that would mean 5,000 of my friends got to join me. But I think the average investment right now is somewhere under 3,000. So, it'll be great. And then we'll get through this year. We'll get more audited financials, and I would imagine something like a Regulation A plus offering is in the future. I really want to grow this company to be like a credit union type thing. I won't.
And that's why you decided to do crowdfunding instead of doing because for people not familiar with selling shares, normally you have to be an accredited investor, which means income, or I think it's over $250,000 for the previous 3 years, or liquid net worth of over $1 million, not including primary residence.
Right.
And you gotta, if you're raising money normally on something like this, you have to go and check all those boxes before you can accept funds from an investor. They have to be an accredited investor, which I think that whole accredited investor is just a way for rich people to have exclusive access to the best deals.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you're doing the crowdfunding so that you can democratize it a little bit more and allow non-accredited investors to invest.
Yeah, it's decentralized finance, right? Instead of Wall Street owning all the companies, even look at the big companies that are lenders in the space, they end up getting bought by Goldman Sachs, KKR, Blackstone. These are household names because they have all the money. And the first thing they do is change the products, change the terms. So I wanted to make sure that I could go to retail investors, the mom and pops. I wanted to make the investment low enough where it's not a huge commitment, but in my perfect world, one day in the future, this is a publicly traded company or maybe large privately held company where it's thousands and thousands of shareholders that are customers as well. I love what eXp Realty does.
Yeah.
I envision a world.
My buddy, the CEO of eXp Realty, Leo Pareja, the new CEO they brought in. You know where he started?
Oh my God, I did and I forgot.
He started at Express Home Buyer, same company I did.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
15 years ago.
And my boy Brandon Brittingham's with him all the time now.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about what eXp is doing is when you hit certain transaction numbers and production numbers, they send you these emails. It's like new share award, new share award. And I envision a world where, and this is not active right now, it's just where my brain's going, how I really want to change the industry. I envision a world where when you close on a loan, we send you a share. I envision a world where when you request your payoff, we ask if you'd like to buy shares and add it to the payoff. When you...
Is you're making money on the loans, you're giving people the ability to participate and lend.
And own.
Yeah.
Because our people, we want to own stuff, right? That's why we're entrepreneurs. We want to own it. We want to be a part of it. I'm going to have these shareholder conferences. The first one's going to be in September in Dallas. I envision thousands of people invested in our success.
Yeah.
That are collectively winning together through shared ownership and growth.
Now, one of the risk factors of going Reg A or doing a crowdfunding is there's so much legal exposure.
Yes.
There's been a lot of guys that have done, Grant Cardone's done it. A lot of guys have done these Reg A's. Obama created this a few years ago to try to democratize the ability to, because all the money is made early stage, pre-public markets. I think you realize that. He created the Reg A offerings, legalized crowdfunding, which I think was a smart move. But there's so much red tape around it that there's a lot of predatory litigators that get in and just see these crowdfunding companies or these Reg A offerings as targets and target them with class action lawsuits. Like Grant's got class action lawsuits against him on his Reg A. Have you thought about that? What are your are you just gonna button up the legal so tight that? Because that's why people have been like, Robert, why do you do a crowdfund? Or I'm like, first of all, I didn't need the money, but I'm so scared of that kind of shit. Where I'm like, last thing I want is a class action lawsuit from some activist litigator that wants to target?
For 10 years, people have been telling me, oh, Tim, you should do a Reg A, you should do crowdfunding, you'd be great for it, people love you, all that. And I've always resisted it for that.
Yeah.
The size and scope of the legal challenges scared me, or just made it where it was such brain damage.
Yeah.
There's a new technology company out there called dealmaker.tech.
Okay.
And I decided, so number one, part of the vision, this is another thing, I've never been so compelled by vision before. I've started some companies, a lot of times money, transactional.
Yeah.
Like, I get so much energy from what I'm doing right now, Robert. I mean, it's a vision. And so the vision dictates what I do next.
Yeah.
So I was committed to finding a way to let my friends and the investors win with me and join me. So I went head down in December. I knew I was going to find a way to do it. And I just started researching. And I found this technology company, dealmaker.tech, that handles all the broker-dealer stuff, all the disclosure stuff, all the KYC, communication, shareholder statements, stock certificates, and all that. And I thought, man, that's cool. Had a conference call with them. Start Googling them. And Picasa, are you familiar with Picasa? The shared vacation rental ownership?
Yeah.
So they're doing a big Reg A plus right now.
Really?
And so and Dealmaker's doing it for them.
Yeah.
So I go straight in and I just buy shares.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see what it's like. And it was just so easy, so simple, that I thought, okay, this is the route I'm going to go. And so the process.
Normally you spend hundreds of thousands, maybe $1 million just on legal.
Yeah, and now I do have a great general counsel that she even did a crowdfunding raise for a Shark Tank company at a previous job. I'm like you, I always go find great people to help me. But then also, man, there's this part of the more people tell me not to do something,
you want to do it more.
It tells me I'm on the right path.
I'm the same
It's
way.
disruptive.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, don't do that. Be careful, Tim. Even my mentor, Scott, that taught me how to do hard money.
Yeah.
I was on the phone with him last weekend. I needed his help. He's an attorney, and I needed his help on some Texas foreclosure stuff. And he was like, oh, be careful, Timbo. Be careful, man. Like, oh. And I'm just like, you know what? I appreciate it, old man. I love you to death.
Yeah.
But that's just validation that how can you be disruptive if you maintain the status quo?
Yeah. And if your vision is to like have all investors having ownership of the lender that they use, the only way to do that is to do a Reg A or a crowdfund.
And I think people underutilize insurance. I mean, even, I guess I'm smart, I'm experienced, I don't know. Even the wire fraud thing, the way we structure our insurance and the way the money flows in to the operating company and then ultimately to the title company, we would have been able to file a claim under our errors and omissions coverage and our directors and officers coverage, and we would have ended up getting, even if we had screwed up and didn't get the funding shield certificate. So it's just you layer your protection. I had funding shield on the hook for up to $5 million, and it was only $638,000. I get a per loan certificate. I pay $40 per loan to get that certificate. Peace of mind, right?
Yeah.
And then if they found that we made an error, then I'd get my E&O involved. Yeah. And then my E&O their attorneys would fight their attorneys, would fight their attorney. All the attorneys will fight, and eventually, maybe I would have got 500 of the 630 back or something like that. But you just mitigate risk with insurance and proper planning, I think.
Yeah, like craft the vision instead of saying it's not going to work. Just say, how can I make it work?
In all things.
First principles thinking.
Yeah. In all things, man. Like, you got wholesalers out there saying, oh, the market's so hard in Dallas right now. Make it not hard.
Yeah.
Find a different source of deals.
Yeah.
Go wholesale.
Go on Investorlift.com.
I mean, right?
$1.8 billion of deals moving this month.
And look at where the activity is. And with your platform, I mean, you've got a Dispo. You can Dispo anywhere in the nation.
Yeah.
So if you can't find what you're looking for where you're at, you're just stupid if you keep looking in the same spot. You got to go look somewhere else. So, I was committed to the vision. I decided I was going to do it, and I'm just not the kind of guy you say no to.
So what I love about what you're doing is it really aligns with where we want to go with Investorlift. This is one of the reasons why I was like, okay, we're cutting off all the other lenders. We're just going to do Turnus as our exclusive partner lender on Investorlift. is, well, first of all, there's like the whole, like, you're lending your own money, which just opens up a whole new world of possibilities. What we're working on right now at Investorlift, you notice that, like, so one of the biggest problems in the real estate wholesaling investing industry is trust. There's so many bad actors, so many scammers, and this is why NAR is trying to basically shut down wholesaling across all 50 states. Actually, in Arizona, there's just big attorney general here is going after local guy Sam something for some sub 2 deal or whatever. So, like, we introduced some features a couple of years ago, like banning buyers. We've already banned 270,000 buyers. 270,000. But now I want to take it a step further. Recently, we introduced two-way reviews, so now you can review people. Now, where we're going with this is we brought in a new insane data scientist, Kyle Pollack, a PhD in artificial intelligence from the University of Chicago. He's been working in the AI space for 15, 20 years, but also as a real estate investor. So he's got also subject matter knowledge, which I think really is the key to having really good AI guys. So we just finished rebuilding a new generation of God mode that is about twice as good as the one that we have right now. It is phenomenal. And then we're now linking that with user accounts. We're doing this in Arizona just to start. And within the next few months, we're going to have public profiles for every single real estate investor.
Public?
Like, we buy houses. It's all public record data.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We buy houses, Arizona LLC. Here's all the flips. Here's all the holdings. Here's all the reviews. This guy's got 1 star. This guy's got 27 5 stars. I think of it like public record tax data mixed with LinkedIn, bringing radical transparency to everyone.
Ray Dalio, baby. Radical transparency.
Radical transparency.
Look, I love that.
Yeah. But imagine where we could go with lending then. Because now when a lending lead comes in, you have all the flips history, you have all the buy and hold history, you have the reviews, you have, like, when that loan application comes in, everything's packaged up with a bow. Now, where I want to go with it even further is, like, authenticate to the bank accounts to bring in their cash balance. We're now doing AI underwriting of deals where we can tell you how good a deal is. If you're looking for the Red Bulls right there.
I was looking for the Celsius.
Celsius. Where's the Celsius?
I think he took it from me.
Do you see a Celsius drink around?
Oh, right there.
Right there. You can grab it. These guys are good at jump cutting.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
There we go. Gotta stay hydrated. So, where we're going, full profiles. We're going to allow people to authenticate into their bank accounts, pull in their cash balance.
So Plaid.
And then, and then we've just, the Iris AI model that we built, freaking phenomenal.
Love it.
Absolutely phenomenal. We are now able to underwrite deals in real time with the AI pretty accurately. It's getting better and better, getting smarter and smarter. Where I want to go with this with you over the next few months, a few years, is auto approval on properties. It's like, is your shopping Investorlift based on your history and your cash balance and the quality of the deal? You could just filter, hey, here's properties that, based on all the data points, I know I'm 100% pre-approved.
I will tell you this time next year at Turnus. So one of the other reasons, so we're raising money for 2 reasons.
Yeah.
And even if someone's not interested in investing, they should go to invest.turnus.com and look at our use of proceeds, because anytime you're raising capital, a good use of proceeds is very beneficial. So it's like, just go on there and rip my stuff off. I mean, because it's good. So it says we're raising $5 million and $2.5 million is for loan funding, but then, $500,000 for technology, this much for marketing,
Yeah.
Where we're going, and we'll be there by this time next year, Sanjay, my VP of technology, and I, we get nerded out, right? You should be able to go to my website, authenticate with Plaid.
Yeah.
Plaid automatically will do with their identity radar, terrorism checks, background checks, credit checks, and then cash checks. And then, you can set different qualifying criteria of like, if it's this, then that.
Yeah.
My thing is say you do that and you're a good person that pays their bills and you have $1 million.
Yeah. And
then on the next screen, you type in an address. We run a couple quick AVMs in the background and we have a 90% confidence score that this house is worth $300,000. And you're asking for a $200,000 loan. You are approved.
Yeah.
If you've got $1 million
yeah.
and you need $200,000 and you're a good person that pays their bills and it's a good deal, there's no reason I can't approve it. Then I want to talk to you about this. Dark Matters and LOS that is owned by ICE, not the immigration people. It's a technology company. Through ServiceLink, I think is their title company. One of their affiliated title companies digitized enough in like 75% of the nation that you get title back in 15 minutes.
Wow.
And my entire thing is exactly that. You push me their liquidity and their plaid and their background and their credit, and we have a data sharing thing and an AVM and pictures that, are you using the AI to validate the pictures yet?
We've done a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just what we'll be there this time next year where you can literally get fully qualified for a loan in hours.
Yeah.
And close tomorrow. We're already closing in 3 days.
Wow. 3-day closes.
We don't mess around, man. So let me tell you about my core value.
3-day closes. That is unheard of.
For new customers.
For new customers.
Yeah.
That is unheard of.
Well, let me tell you my core values. Number one, I hate core values. Just so.
Core value number one. I hate core values.
Well, I hate them because most people come up with them and they put them on the fucking wall.
Then they don't.
And it means nothing. They can't even recite them.
They don't even know them.
I was challenged at a mastermind. It's like, look, you need to have core values. And I said, I don't like that. They're like, well, if you really think one day you'll exit this company or not be the CEO anymore, then that's why core values are even more important, because it teaches people how to make decisions when you're not around. I said, okay, I can buy into that. So I really played with it. I landed. It had to be an acronym because I'm a stupid Marine, right? And we need acronyms. So we came up with STARS: speed, transparency, accountability, respect, and service. And here's the way I break it down. There's nothing more important in this business, buying, selling, or lending. Speed.
Yeah, it matters way more than the rate. I will pay a higher rate, way higher rate, if you just get it done faster.
Time kills deals.
Time kills
all
deals.
I tell my team that every day. Transparency. Don't yank the customer around.
Yeah.
Just tell them, hey, Robert, I don't feel good about this loan. Keep looking for money. I'll work on it, and I may be able to get it done, but don't stop.
Yeah.
If I do that with you, you're going to call me first on every deal because I was honest with you, upfront with you. It's a breath of fresh air. Accountability, right? Like, we got to own our mistakes, right? And we got to hold ourselves accountable because we're in the service business. Respect is very important to me because I think, you have to appreciate all the people behind the paper, right? I mean, you got title agents, wholesalers, real estate agents, contractors. I mean, little old ladies sitting, and this is why the attorneys general come after us, our industry. Little old lady in a U-Haul at the title company on Friday, and people try to renegotiate or don't close or drop her into grease. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
So we won't be a part of that, right? And
100%.
if we say we're going to close on Friday, guess what? We're freaking closing on Friday.
Yeah.
Unless you won't sign the paperwork, then I can't help it, right?
Yeah.
And then the last is service, and the reasons service is probably one of the most important to me is we make millionaires.
Yeah.
And I get goosebumps every time I say that. It's important to me. This business, I was a broke Marine. I graduated out of summer school. I came up in not a good home. I joined the Marine Corps because I had no other real options in front of me. I found this business when I got out. And as Ed Milet says, I am the one. I have changed the future of my family, my entire family. And I mean, my brother works for me. I mean, it's just important. This business means the world to me.
Yeah.
That I can, just a dumb redneck from East Texas. I'm not really dumb, but that I could be worth what I am worth right now and do the things that I've done. So
changes lives.
I tell people we make millionaires, and it makes me happy. So many people call me and say, "Oh my God, you may be a millionaire." And when I hear that, I just almost cry because it makes me happy to help people make money.
I feel the same way. Like once you get to a certain level, we make millions at Investorlift, but I will still jump on a call and help someone.
Well, you were just selling houses for free.
Yeah,
before I got here.
Yeah, but my favorite thing is when we grab one of those houses and it's someone's first deal. Like so many times, the guys like there's one we did the other day and it was like I don't know, like not crazy assignment fee, but like 15 grand or something. I'm like, congrats, we made 15 grand. I'm like, how do you feel? He's like, bro, that was my first deal. It's changed my life. Guy was working washing windows.
Changed my life.
Changed his life. Like that will be the pivotal moment. If he just takes that 15 grand and doesn't blow on a Rolex, reinvest it into marketing. And I should be talking, I'm wearing a freaking Sol Gold watch. But hey, I didn't buy my first one until I made 10 million in a year. Then I was like, okay, I'll buy a Swiss watch.
There's
I started with the Breitling,
Hey, I've had this for 10 years. Yeah. I got plenty of money.
Absolutely.
I love this watch.
Yeah.
So,
but as long as he doesn't blow that 15 grand on a Rolly and reinvest it back into, education and marketing and things like that will be like the most pivotal 1 hour of his life where everything changed, just like it did for you, like it did for me, is happening to so many people.
Well, and that's my vision with Turnus. I mean, these annual shareholder meetings, literally, Robert, I see a world where it's like Apple. Mm-hmm. And we have these shareholder meetings, and it's thousands of real estate investors from across the nation that are winning together. Like people show up, and it's almost a self-selector. Yeah. Like you got someone that invested in a company, probably does deals with the company, and then you roll out new products. A product I'm really excited about right now is we're about to start doing lines of credit, second lien lines of credit against the equity that people are. So many investors have trapped equity right now in a low interest rate. They don't want to refi, but they need extra money sometimes to go to auction or maybe pay cash on a house, right? So we are actually closing the first one this week as a test, because with lending, I build everything to scale, not to do one-offs. Yeah. So it was like, got a buddy of mine to do it. I waived all the doc prep fees and everything. We found out all the problems with our process on it, right? And then we'll close a couple more. But, that's one of those things that's the type of announcement I want to have at every shareholder meeting. Like, ta-da!
We got lines of credit. Yeah, I wish Zach was here today. He's stuck on a project, but that's how he operates this whole business, sell just with lines of credit. He's got 100 million equity on his portfolio, paid down, 85% equity on his portfolio. Insane. Absolutely insane.
Something about you Arizona guys, y'all don't like debt.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you should lever this thing. Like, I would lever it up. Yeah. But he's just like a little bit more risk averse, but to each their own. But he's just got like crazy lines of credit, and like he's just tapping into those lines of credit at the local banks, and if he needs to buy a house, he's got the line of credit to do it.
And I'm just really excited about partnering with people like you and leaning headfirst into new technologies. I want to help people come up with a portfolio app. I think too many investors don't understand their global cash flow on their portfolio. They don't understand that they have probably a couple rent houses that seem like good houses that are actually losing money every month. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the bad houses are the ones that are actually the best cash flow properties. Yeah. And if you choose for that to be the case, fine. Right. But at least be educated enough to make the decision, right? I tell everybody, first thing people do when they come to me, I say, look, get me a schedule of real estate owned. I can help anyone that owns property. But if you can't tell me what your cash flow is, what your equity position is, what your net operating income is, I can't help you because I don't know what we're working with together.
Yeah. That's where, how we're talking about the portfolio, that's where we're going with.
Good.
We're going with that where we're going to start layering in AI on top of it. Yeah. Where you put in like your interest rates, your mortgage rates, and we'll start having AI. Eventually, this is where we're going with it. We'll have AI analyzing your portfolio and be like, hey, you should refi this property.
Exactly.
By the way, click here to go get financing at this rate. Oh, this one you have as a long-term rental. The AirDNA stats show that you could double your cap rate just by shifting this to a short-term rental. Oh, this one, you should get out of this one. Oh, click here to list it on the marketplace.
Yeah, and even like, dude, I just love that because as I've grown and matured in the industry, I have to keep learning new things. I mean, because obviously I didn't I'm not a Harvard guy like you.
Could have been. You're a pretty smart guy.
But like return on equity is something that I didn't even know what it was.
Explain to people, this is such a big concept. And I know Zach, he's got so much equity in his portfolio. Some people really like having a lot of equity, but the one criticism that guys like me or you would give him is he's got a low return on equity.
Yes.
Explain return on equity.
So equity is an asset on your balance sheet. Too many people look at it as a result, but it's an asset, right? So if you have $1 million worth of equity, that's $1 million. Then you have to look at what does that $1 million make me? Because if I listed them all on the exchange and sold them and say I only walked away with $800,000 after closing costs and some of the discounted prices for as-is sales, if I can go make 12% on that money, right, now I'm making $8,000 a month.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm making $8,000 a month and it was only 5 houses that were only making $200 each or $500 each, I double my return on my equity, right? And that's just like the rough math. And then what happens is, if you've got that $40,000, $50,000 in equity and you're really thinking, oh, I love this house, if you have a negative cash flow year, which, I'm here to tell people that happens. It may not have happened in 21 and 22, but it happens, especially with taxes and insurance increases. Now, if you're not making cash flow, you actually have a negative return on equity. It's like having money in cash under your bed, not doing anything with it. It's a waste of a resource. So now at the stage I'm in, I talk with my wife a lot about return on equity, because just because you have millions of dollars in equity, there comes a point where the right thing to do is to sell the assets, capture the equity, and then multiply it. And this is where, for me, everything comes down to a 20 IRR. That's it. You've got to, if you can get a 20% IRR on average with your investments, you double your money every 5 years.
Incredible.
And if you double your money every 5 years and you have $1 million when you're 40, you got 2 at 45, 4 at 50, 8 at 55, 16 at 60. And the latter years, you start talking about going $16 million swings in 5 years.
Yeah.
And if you're just sitting there on a low return on equity deal, you're holding yourself back.
Yeah, I remember I had a friend, and he sold a business. And it wasn't like a huge business. It was like a tech services business. I was like, oh, wow, what are you going to do with the money? He's like, oh, I'm going to pay down my mortgage. Like, do you have a really high mortgage rate? He's like, no, I got like a 3% interest rate. You just sold a business. It's probably making you 20% a year, minimum. You're taking that cash and you're paying down a mortgage that's costing you 3% a year. There's some reason why you need to sell the business, but assuming he had to sell the business, I'm like, why would you ever do that? He's like, oh, well, I looked at my mortgage statement and I'm going to pay $600,000 of interest over the next 30 years. Yeah. But here's what you don't understand. If you just throw that in the S&P 500, you're going to make 10%.
Right.
The delta between 10 and 3, what's 10 minus 3? It's like 7. I'm like, okay, now let me do the math on what 7% over the next 30 years is. And I do the math and it's like millions. I'm like, that's how much money you just pissed down the drain.
Did he get it?
He understood it after that.
So, like, look, I'll give you a real case study of something I'm doing right now. I think we talked about it before the show. I had a $140,000 mortgage at 4% on a rent house that was rented for $1,800 a month.
Yeah.
My cash flow was about $150 net a month. Market data showed that it should rent for about $2,200. Needed about $25,000 in work to get it there. We moved the tenant out. We spend the $25,000. It's actually $35,000 now because we just had to replace the sewer line and the gas line. That money came out of cash. We then refinance it for $213,000. I'm going to pay about 10. Now the problem is now I got a 6.5 rate, not a 4. Mm-hmm. But the crazy thing is it's also now rented for $2,200 a month instead of $1,800. I close it. It's going to be $215,000. I think is the final mortgage. I lose 10 of that in closing costs. I'm down to $205. I got a $140 mortgage. I pull $65K out. I pay the $25 back, right? That I used out of my cash reserve account. So now with no money invested, I just got a tax-free lump sum because refinance proceeds are tax-free that a tenant's going to pay back for me. My cash flow is now $15 more a month than it was before at the higher interest rate because I did a value add. Then I take the rest of the $40,000, I put it into hard money notes at Turnus, and I make 12% on that $40,000. My cash flow on the extra money is higher than my cash flow ever was on the rent house.
Crazy.
And people are saying, "Oh, interest is too high." It's only too high if you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so, look, I mean, I think the lesson is if you want to get into, we talked about it, if someone wants to get into hard money, you can make money. There's risk. You need to educate yourself and make sure you comply with state and federal laws.
Yeah.
You need to make sure your insurance and processes are right. Don't do business with friends, and don't do business with influencers.
I love it.
There are a lot. You talked about some bad actors earlier, and I do want to say this. There was an email this morning from my head of sales to our VP of technology asking for a way to flag borrowers or properties that had already been turned down. Because the bad actors are out there, and if they think that you're a fool, which a new guy in anything often comes across as a fool, they will find a way to trick you. So we had 3 properties that were submitted like 4 or 5 different times through different entities and different forms and different methods. Like literally, it's just a scammer. It is bullshit. And I was in military intelligence. I did some work with the CIA at one point in time. In God we trust, all others we verify.
Yeah.
Just because someone has a couple 100,000 followers on Instagram does not mean that they are legit at anything.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they bought their damn followers.
Yeah.
So
you go on Fiverr and buy 200,000 followers for about $50.
Yeah. So you loan money to the wrong person, it hurts for a long time.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I love what you're doing here with the crowdfunding. It's a ballsy move, but I appreciate the ballsiness of it because the end state I like. The end state, I've thought about that too. I've even toyed with the thought in my head, eventually do we raise an Investorlift fund where the wholesalers can do loans, but it's not a business that I have core competency in. So I love that you're building it because I had the same kind of vision in my head, but I'm just it's outside my wheelhouse. You're building it. We already got plugged into Investorlift. We're going to continue to strengthen this data and financing relationship to really disrupt the industry. Because if you think about it, most people don't really understand what investors are doing. We're just in the liquidity game. That's all we're doing. We're providing liquidity to illiquid assets. And we're doing it fast.
That's right.
Right? There's another way of doing it. You can get liquidity on anything, but there's the regular way of doing it, which is very slow. And we're just selling fast liquidity. So what I love you're doing is really nailing that on the head because I think you understand that more than these Wall Street guys ever did. So for people that are listening to this podcast, if they want to get financed and they want to learn more, they want to get into the crowdfunding, where can people learn more?
Turnus.com. You can click on the invest button at the top, or you can just go to invest.turnus.com. My email address is just first initial, last name at turnus.com. I'm happy to take questions. I like to help people. I like to get deals done. I tell my team it's never no, it's how, right?
Yeah.
And I want to help. And if people have product ideas, I want to be in the problem-solving business, and I want to use money to solve these people's problems and help create millionaires. And if we do that, we do it right, and we stay true to the vision of not selling out to Wall Street and taking Main Street back from Wall Street, I think we're going to build something really special. And I'm I've done some big shit in my career.
Yeah.
This is by far the hardest thing I've ever done, but the most rewarding.
100%.
Like, I'm having fun every day. I feel like I am doing significant things that will have a lasting impact on the industry.
Making millionaires.
Making millionaires.
All right, one last final question. So many great takeaways from this podcast. We talked a lot about, how this industry does make millionaires. Sometimes it's just that first deal that changes everything. You've done 2,000 deals. You've taken a company public with Blackstone. You've done $10 billion of loans. That seems like so far out of sight for the guy that's just doing their first deal. What advice do you have for that guy that's just getting started? Be
an eager learner. When I got into this business, there was no Facebook. There was barely Google.
Yeah.
Actually, the search engine, I think it was Hydro, was the one I used the most. I didn't know how to build a website. I built a website called wholesalehouses.net. Still have the stupid URL.
Wow.
And I started using a GoDaddy web builder to make pictures and put them on there. And then I got a constant contact email list. And then I started going to the RIA club that met, the Aereo RIA club that met the first Thursday of every month. And I would just collect business cards. And I would just add people to my database. And I would be an eager learner. I'd sit through all the meetings. Instead of being at the bar drinking, I would listen and I would learn. And if I didn't understand something, I read a lot of books. I'm not a quick reader. Audible's like the best thing that's ever happened to me. Eddie Speed used to work the tables at the RIA meeting that I would go to 23 years ago. And the first book I ever read about the business was Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Then I read Richest Man in Babylon. Then I read Streetwise Seller Financing. Then I read The Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Jay Papasan. I've reread Good to Great several times. Start with Why, changed my life. I think, God, a new person just has all the advantages in the world with the information.
So easy now.
Like you said, but even if you don't have a house to sell on dispoday.com, why not register and listen, watch, learn, perfect a trade craft, get to 10,000 hours of anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot teach work ethic. And I think, people, if they'll just have good work ethic and study and research and learn and not look for the easy button.
Yeah.
And then the last is, I say this I'm a father. I know you're a father now too. I talk to my boys all the time about, life is a journey. And I promise you the destination you're heading towards right now will not be where you end up.
Yeah.
So get started somewhere. Put your money into a deal. You're going to learn a lot more by losing money or making money than you ever will in a seminar.
Yeah.
And just learn and study. You only lose if you stop trying.
I love this advice because I think the mistake a lot of young entrepreneurs make is they just go for the money. But the money comes and goes, right? You can make it and you can lose it real quick. And there's two ways you can get a return, right? You can get a return on cash and you can get a return on knowledge. The return on cash can get zeroed out. The return on knowledge can never get zeroed out.
Never. So that's my superpower.
Advice.
And one of the best compliments I ever got was when I joined Blackstone's group and I'm in a meeting and they're talking and it's just like space cadet shit. I'm like, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah.
But I would stop the meeting. I'd be like, Tom, the fuck are you saying? I don't get it. But I knew that if I didn't challenge that, I could never make sure the company was successful.
Yeah.
So just sitting in a room and letting people talk and then faking it until you make it and all that, that's stupid. Ask questions, learn. I sat in on your cartel call the other day.
Yeah.
Didn't say a thing. I just wanted to hear what you guys are saying and thinking, and so that I learn how to think and how to say things. Never stop learning. Google. I'll stop talking. I promise. Google says it best. No one knows everything, and everyone knows something.
Love it.
And you just got to get around more people and learn more.
Love it. Tim, this has been an incredible podcast. Definitely 11 out of 10. It's been an absolute honor having you on. Thank you so much. Guys, if you found value in this episode, Make sure to drop a comment below. It really helps the channel. Give us a like. Subscribe if you want to see more. It costs absolutely nothing. And we will see you next week in the next video. Thanks.